Chapter 3.2, trig. We still continue with this section. Trig is really a chapter that you want to dig down and understand it really well, because in grade 12, you have 2 chapters on trigonometry. So make sure you understand this well. So here, given one trig ratio, find the other 2 based on the condition given. So here, I'm given the ratio, and they're telling me it's in quadrant 4. So I'll go ahead and graph my, so 1, 2, 3, 4 for some of you who forgot. So 0, 180 kind of thing. So you draw your terminal arm right there, and you drop a vertical or raise a vertical. Now the sign is opposite, so we're working from theta, which is between the terminal arm. This is the terminal arm, and between the terminal arm and the x-axis, so there's where theta is. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so the hypotenuse is always positive, never make it negative. And the opposite to this angle is supposed to be negative √3. Now I need to use Pythagoras to find the other side. So always if I'm finding a side but not the hypotenuse, I just shortcut, you go 2 squared, the hypotenuse squared minus the given side squared will give you the missing side squared. So if you want to call it b or a squared, it doesn't matter. So 4 minus, that's going to be 3, because √3 squared is 3 and the negative squared is positive, equals b squared, and that's 1, so b equals 1. So therefore this is 1, and the side here, the x-axis on this side, it's positive. So now the other 2 trig ratios that we have to find is I'm given the sine, so I want to find the cos. Cos theta would equal adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent is 1, hypotenuse is 2, and tan theta would equal opposite over adjacent, so negative √3 over 1, which is just negative √3. From here, opposite over adjacent. Next question. The same thing, we're gonna draw the angle in standard position. So there you go. Now the thing here, you have to do a little bit of thinking. So remember, all students take calculus, means all positive in the first quadrant. In the second quadrant, only sine is positive, that only the tan is positive. In the third quadrant, only the cosine is positive in the fourth quadrant. So as you see, the cos here is negative, so it could be in the second quadrant or in the third quadrant. But also this condition is telling me tan is less than 0. Basically, that's tan theta, sorry, is less than 0. That's indicating that the tan is negative. When I say tan is less than 0, the tan is negative. The tan is negative, it can't be here, and it cannot be there, so it's here or there. So you see where your double check is? That's where your terminal arm has to be. So there you go, drop a vertical. That's theta, and label. So cosine is adjacent, which here, over hypotenuse, so that's √13 right there. So we got to find the missing side. Again, if you're finding a side when you're using Pythagoras, just go to hypotenuse squared minus the given side squared equals what, that missing side, let's call it a or b or whatever, a squared. So that's 13 minus 9, which is 4. So 4 equals a squared, a equals 2, so that's 2 right there, and it's going to be positive because the y side here is positive. And therefore, I got to find since I'm given the cos, the other 2 trig ratios will be the sine theta, which equals opposite over hypotenuse. So that's going to be 2 over √13. And then tan theta equals opposite over adjacent, so 2 over -3. It's good to write the negative in the front here. I don't like writing negatives on the bottom of a fraction. That's done. We'll go to the third one. So the third one is, we're gonna again graph it. So you got to figure out which quadrant you're in again. All the students take calculus. So the tan is negative. The tan is negative. It cannot be here or there. So I am either in this side or in this side. Sine is less than 0. That's telling you sine is negative. The sine is negative right here and right there. So there's where your double check is. That's where your terminal arm has to be. And you do that. Now the tan, on a second, give me 1 second here. The tan is negative, yeah. So the tan is negative right here. So this is, the tan is opposite over adjacent. So even though we only wrote -1 there, but you know, every fraction has a 1 underneath. So that means the opposite is -1 and the adjacent is 1. And we do Pythagoras to find out the hypotenuse now. So just 1 squared plus -1 squared gives me the hypotenuse squared, and that's 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So 2 equals c squared. C would equal √2. So this is just √2 right there. And therefore, the missing 2 trig ratios is sine theta and cos theta. And both of them, the sign will be -1 over √2. It's opposite, over √2. This is theta, always between the terminal arm and the x-axis. So opposite over adjacent. For sine is opposite over hypotenuse. For cosine, it's adjacent over hypotenuse. So 1 over √2. And again, if you notice, the sign here is negative and the cosine is positive, and only the cosine could be positive there. Just from that's a proof of why only the cosine is positive there, because you label according to where you are. So if you're here, then the x-axis here is positive, but this here is going along the y-axis. That's the part of the y-axis that's negative. And that's it. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.